Hello everyone! Today we're going to determine is Skyward Sword HD worth purchasing right now? Let's not waste any time and get started. Now some things you want to know is that I did some research into this game by watching other YouTubers to help me give me a refresher on this game, as it was a 2011 game. And even though there were plenty of releases I believe on the Wii U and the 3DS as well, I haven't played it for 10 years. However, just know some of the information and footages that I have obtained are from other sources. Skyward Sword is one of the Zelda games for the main consoles in the 21st century. However, it was also one of the least favorite main Zelda game for a lot of fans out there because for a ton of reasons. It had the most frustrating controls for a Zelda game. In Breath of the Wild and other Zelda games, to swing a sword, you mainly just need to press one single button. However, for Skyward Sword, they did not have that option, and since it was for the Wii, you can guess that you had to swing the sword in a specific way, and the Wii motion tracking isn't the best. Now, this wouldn't usually be an issue because you could just swing wildly and then just defeat any enemies. However, the enemies in this game force you to swing a sword in a specific direction, which could be extremely frustrating for the player, as you can get heavily punished for swinging the wrong way. I personally remember I played the demo for this game and I think I had around 8 hearts. And I was fighting the boss Girahim and lost all 8 hearts because it was just so hard to swing the sword in the direction that you wanted. I personally think it's actually worse than the controls for getting over it. Now, I did play this at a local GameStop where I wasn't able to calibrate it, but it didn't change the fact that it made it more difficult to use a weapon that you have to be using for the entirety of the game. It also looks like this might be the case for your items as well. I don't remember, unfortunately, but it looks like that might have been the case. What was next is that I remember so specifically was that it had the most repetitive item animation in the Zelda series. Now, I don't mean this animation. I mean that when you pick up a ruby, you don't think you need to relive this specific animation. However, when you save and quit the game and then go back to it, what's frustrating is that every single time you pick up an item or a ruby, you would have to go through this animation over and over and over again. And what was even worse was that it was an animation for every single item you picked up in the game. Meaning that if you picked up a green ruby, you already seen the animation, so you should be fine for the next one, right? No, you would see that animation again if you picked up a blue ruby, because apparently that is a different kind of ruby, and then you would be constantly seeing this every time you save and exit, so you're gonna see the animation again for the green ruby and for the blue ruby. Imagine how annoying it would be if you were to start up your game and every time you picked up an item, you'd have to be stuck reading through the same item description for 4 seconds, and this just happens for every single different item you picked up. Following this was how annoying Fee can be, because I personally like to enjoy struggling through the game, figuring out the puzzles and those kind of things. For those of you who have enjoyed my live streams, you also notice that I don't like backseating because I want to figure out the puzzles myself, which is something I really enjoy when playing the game itself. However, Fee backseats you so hard and will give you clothes before you have the chance to even try to figure it out yourself, which was honestly pretty frustrating for me because like before I would try to figure out what to do, she'd just tell me right away before I got the chance to figure it out. Fortunately, in the HD version, they did release a quality of life trailer that seemed to fix these issues. They made Fee's backseating optional, so you could choose when to ask for help, which is very nice. Items are streamlined, meaning you are not forced to see what the green rupee is for the 1000th time for the description for the 4 seconds every single time you restart the game. And then last but not least is they give you the option to be able to use the Joy-Con controls to be able to use the sword and the items. However, for the last change, I am slightly worried about this one because this is something that Arlo has said something that actually brought my attention to, which was that the control change could specifically only be when you change from docked mode to handheld mode, and vice versa. For those of you who don't know what that means, sometimes there are certain games where certain controls are exclusive to the mode that you are playing in. One example of this would be in Pokemon Let's Go. I remember specifically that I got really annoyed playing in docked mode because you had to constantly swing your Joy-Con to catch the Pokemon. And when you're swinging your Joy-Con, you have to be wary of how fast your swing is, how far your swing is, and how curvy your swing is when throwing the Pokeball. Hence, before I even got to the first gym, I just started to play in handheld mode exclusively, since you could use the gyro cursor to aim your Pokeball and just press a button to release the Pokeball at a set distance and speed. This seems to have been the case for other games that have been released in the past for the Switch, especially those that are either remastered or HD releases as well. Now, from the quality of life trailer, it looked like you were exclusively using the motion tracking device on docked mode. And I feel like this would be a game I would want to play in docked mode due to the high definition and the new graphics on it. But I also don't want to be forced to really live the motion control hell from 10 years ago. I'm really hoping you're able to change the controls in the option screen or something. Now, there has been a lot of good changes that you have seen, and that has been done to improve the game's playability. However, it didn't look like they added anything new gameplay-wise. They have improved the graphics of the game, which makes sense as it is an HD version of the game. But the real question that comes into my head, is this HD version worth $60 in US? These new changes that Nintendo has made worth $40 more than the Wii U version that is currently $19.99 right now. I personally don't think so, but that's up to you to decide. Now, for this game, what's really nice is that it does give a good amount of content, as HowLongToBeat.com is showing that the average amount of players have gone in the range of 38.5 hours to 58 hours, depending on how much of a completionist you are for those piece of hearts, the item completion, so you do get some bang out of your buck. And Nintendo does do sales on their major products. If we were to take this in reference of the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and we were to look at this at decodeals.com, you might be able to get a sale on this type of game for $40 to $45 at your local Walmart, Target within the first few months of when this game is released, or with enough patience, get it to as low as $27. Now, in summary, I don't think this game is worth $60 based on the changes that have been made. I personally think that this game is probably more worth around the $30 range, and if we're really generous, the $40 range, as there have not been a lot of significant gameplay changes, but a good amount of quality of life changes that have been made to this game. I hope this was helpful for all of you, and I will see you all in the next video.